Such a joy to put this together with my amazing team that has joined me, and I just saw one of our other team members, Janet, on stage as well, or from the Zoom. And I am just so thrilled to be here with my beautiful team because we hope to give you today some hits. We're going to hit you with our hits. What does that stand for? Hope, inspiration, and tools. We have some amazing, and I'm getting chills just saying that. So we hope to inspire you with our hits today. Eleanor Hayward and Jennifer Hawkins came together when COVID hit because they believed in the system that came through me at rock bottom. There they are, so gorgeous. They came together when COVID hit. They were both in the service industry and they lost their jobs, right? Because COVID hit. And then what happened? Oh, Lynn Marie's here as well. Yay, hello, Lynn. And what happened is when they came together, they said, Elvira, we really love this program that you channeled at rock bottom. We want to share it with the world. And so we're going to create a 6-month program so that we can do just that. And I said, have at it. And basically they came together very, very methodical, very, very strategic, very, very detail oriented, not me at all. And they came together and created this amazing program. So it's based on the story that saved my life at rock bottom. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that story. And then we're going to teach you some tools from the system that basically they added to as well. So they like to say, Elvira, we picked up the pearls that you dropped and we put them on the necklace and we added some spacer beads. So they added their own magic to the program as well. Because let's face it, right? It's not about us. It's not about our egos. It's about us doing something together and helping humanity. And now I have an amazing team that also facilitates this. And it's work that's being done globally. And anyone that has a story, message, and magic to share, they can also use this system to help others, as well as sharing their own system on my platform, because it's a platform that's that is basically called a personal development solution, SOUL, for heart-centered humans. So this is what they did, and I could not be more thrilled that they are on this incredible team, and they're leading the leaders that are going to be teaching this as well, or holding space for it, facilitators. So I would like to start with how the whole story actually began. Today, what you see in front of you is a woman who has achieved her virtual every dream. My virtual every dream came true, including becoming a professional jazz singer at the age of 51. Tomorrow, if you choose to tune in, my partner, my first duo partner, Daryl Joseph Denny, and I will be entertaining you with a couple of songs. And this was a dream of mine since I was a little girl, but I was told that I could not do it. And I'm going to get into a little bit of that story in a second. But my father was an incredible artist. He could sing like Pavarotti and never did what he was meant to do. And me living out of alignment, trying to please him, almost killed me at rock bottom. But you know what? I was meant to experience living out of alignment for virtually my whole life to come to jazz at the age of 51. Today, I work on world-class stages. I record with award-winning artists, and I've also sung to Oprah Winfrey's Man. So I've done some pretty incredible things with jazz because you know what? If it's something is in you, thank you, Eleanor, for the love. If something is in you, it's in you for a reason. It is not in you to be wasted. If it's in you, you've got to bring it out of you. And this is what I hope to inspire everyone to see today as well, is that if it's in you, you need to have the right mindset so that thing can actually come out of you and serve the world. My father sadly died 10 years ago with his real music still in him. I'm not dying with my real music still in you. I don't want you to die with your real music still in you. I want you to live your dreams. I want you to live heaven on earth, whatever that means to you. For me, heaven on earth is an aligned, authentic, fully self-expressed world where we're living from the truth of our heart and soul, not our egos, wanting to look good on the outside. And yes, I'm a doctor. Yes, I'm a lawyer. Yes, I'm this. Yes, I'm that. But on the inside, there's more inside you. And so this is what I hope to convey today with the support of my team, with our teachings and tools as well, that you can get out of your own effing way, fear and ego, and live your best life. Live your heaven on earth. Do the thing that you were brought here to do because the world needs it. My father, he did not have the mindset to allow himself to become a world-class singer like Pavarotti, because he was better than Pavarotti, but he did not have the right mindset. So going to get into a bit of story, just really, again, I've kind of touched on it, but I'm going to cover it for your, I hope that you can understand this system better because of my story. But then we're going to get into the teachings and tools, where Eleanor and Jennifer are also going to share what the teachings and tools did for them. So this is applicable to any heart-centered human that wants to do their inner work. And inner work can be done a lot of different ways. When I was at rock bottom, the ways that I had done till that point didn't work anymore. God bless Tony Robbins. His system didn't work for me anymore. I had done this thing called Landmark education. Any Landmark fans here? That didn't work for me anymore. I had been Catholic my whole life, and religion had helped me at various points in my life when I lived out of alignment and I struggled and I had God out there. Well, guess what? Religion didn't work when I hit rock bottom. When I hit rock bottom, I wanted to die. And I literally asked for a way out. That wasn't drugs. That wasn't therapy. No disrespect to anyone that has taken drugs and therapy for depression, anxiety, and panic disorder, which is what I struggled with. But for me, they weren't options. Because you see, my father, he got bullied in his 50s. Just like I got bullied at the end of my corporate career, because he lived out of alignment, because he was an amazing singer but never did anything with it. So he was in a low vibration and he was a target for bullies. So my father got bullied in his 50s and he had a nervous breakdown. He had to go on meds for the rest of his life. I said my story will not end like my father's. Also, I was a drug rep for 20 years and I knew what drugs did to our bodies, and I wasn't going to go that route. And also when I was a new mommy, I had mommy issues. So I had to go to therapy for 2 years, 2 solid years of therapy to get over my mommy issues. My son is 27 today. He's amazing. And yet when he was like 1 or 2, I struggled a lot and I knew I wasn't going to be a good mother. So I went to therapy to get over those issues because I didn't know anything else at that time. This work hadn't come through me. And so I said, you know what? When I hit my rock bottom, nothing I did worked anymore. And I said, it can't be drugs because I don't want to go the drug route. Can't be therapy because I can't spend another 2 years in therapy. So I asked for a way out or for a way of ending my life. So fortunately, I got the Love Your Vibe Miracle Mindset. It came through me. I didn't make it up. I'm not that smart. But it saved my life. It saved my sanity. And today it has become a world movement. Some of the beautiful people you see on screen today are purveyors of this system. They want to share it with the world as well, and also share their own systems on my website, because I have a beautiful platform that allows them to do that and create an extra income. Because you know what? It's not just one person's story, message, and magic that matters. It's everyone's story, message, and magic that matters. And we're here. Thank you, Eleanor. And we're here to help humanity. If we've been to a dark place, guess what? It wasn't in vain. Your pain was not in vain. Your pain was so that you could get to the other side of it and then hold up a torch and go, follow me. I know the way. In fact, I have a shortcut. So it's not just my work that matters. It's everyone's work that matters. And that's what this platform is about. So there's my little preamble. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my story. But the most important juicy stuff is going to come in a few minutes. Which is the teachings and tools. So what happened when I was 11 years old, ladies and gentlemen? I went to a jazz show. It was a cabaret show. It was a very sexy show. There was all these women on stage. They were singing and dancing and they were so beautiful. Their clothes and their makeup and their hair. And I was a fat little Italian kid. We had immigrated to Canada when I was 5 and I was a skinny little kid, but my parents were not happy. We came from Italy to Canada, as I mentioned, and they struggled every day. They argued every day. I felt their emotions, so I ate my emotions. I was a sensitive child, so I became this rotund little child. And I'm sitting in the audience, and I'm watching these goddesses on stage. My mom, by the way, said, Elvira, you were singing and dancing when you leapt out of the womb. This is who I was. I was an artist, a performance artist. I was an entertainer. I was always wanting to sing at the drop of a hat. Anytime people smiled with what I was doing, whether I was dancing or singing or, acting silly, I was happy. So this is who I was at my core. So I'm watching these goddesses on stage. God knows why I was in the audience. My father worked in the restaurant downstairs, and it was a cabaret going on upstairs at this restaurant. And whether I was there because my dad was babysitting me that night, had to stick me somewhere, or whether I insisted on going because I love singing and dancing, I don't know which one it was. But I was there in the audience, the only child in the audience. It was destiny that I be in that audience. And I'm watching these goddesses doing their bit on stage. And I'm just like in love with these women. Afterwards, my father picked me up and he saw the gleam in my eyes and he said, "Would you like to meet them?" So he wanted to impress me, my daddy, because he knew these women. They were upstairs. So he said, "Let's go backstage." So went backstage with my daddy. These women look at me and remember what I look like, okay? And they look at me and they're like, "Joe, this is your daughter? Oh, she's so beautiful." And I'm thinking, I'm beautiful? I'm a fat little Italian kid. You're beautiful for telling me I'm beautiful. Well, what happened at that moment? I knew that I was one of them. I knew that I wanted to be on a stage just like them. I knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So I walked away with my daddy. I'm getting chills as I tell it to you. I walked away with my daddy and I looked at him in his eyes. He saw the gleam in mine, I'm sure. And I said, "Daddy, I want to be one of them when I grow up." And you know what he said? "Elvira, you can't be one of them because those women are sluts." And that was it. I was no longer allowed to be me. I had to put on an act. I had to become an imposter. I said, "Okay, Daddy, who do you need? If I'm not allowed to be who I want to be, who do you need me to be so you will love me?" Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, my father grew up with the mindset that good people are not on stages. Good people are good fathers and mothers and husbands and wives and providers. My aunt, his sister, was singing on world-class opera stages. But when she got married, she had to hang up her opera gown, put on an apron, and was told you could never step foot on another stage again because now you're a wife, now you're a mother. So my aunt died with her real music still in her. Both my father and my aunt died with horrible illnesses, cancers, mental health issues, marriages that were in shambles. They lived so out of alignment and they did not get to be fully self-expressed. And that was a tragedy. And today I'm helping to prevent that tragedy because I was able to leave it. As you heard, I did become a jazz singer, but I went about it the hard way. And through that hard way, I learned lessons that I had to learn in order to become who I am today. So I had to go through not one, but two solid healthcare careers, where first I worked in cancer research at Princess Margaret Hospital, a big cancer center here in our city. Then I became a pharmaceutical rep for 20 years. So 27 careers. They wanted me to be a doctor. I didn't have the marks to be a doctor, but I did get into the healthcare industry and I did make really good money. And they did get to say that they came to Canada and they succeeded. Their egos got to be basically, what's the word for, their egos got their thrill of knowing that they came to Canada and their daughter did something important in healthcare. So what happened is all those years when I was working in the lab and then in the pharmaceutical industry, I struggled with depression, anxiety, and panic on and off. I had one good year. I got to be a cheerleader for our Toronto Argos. Okay, so I'm part of a professional alumni cheerleader association in Canada and the United States. A lot of my friends are former Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, which is who I wanted to be, but my parents wouldn't move to Dallas. But I had one good year in there where I got to dance for the Toronto Argos, and it was a fun year. But my father, every time he saw me leaving to go to a game, he would mock me. He would say, "What are you going to go do?" and shake your butt on the field and blah, blah, blah. His mindset was that good people are not performers. He lived with that mindset. And so I still did it because I was 25 at this point. So I managed to break away. But it was always with guilt and shame because I was not approved of. And so that's how I lived. I had one good year where I got to be a performer. And then I worked 20 years in big pharma. Well, 18 years, I say I did it happily, even though I wasn't really happy. But the last 2 years were really important. Just before I started my downfall at my last 2 years of solid depression, anxiety, and panic, I saw a friend leave the pharmaceutical industry to become a coach. I saw how happy she was, how grounded she was. She used to be a crazy drug rep, just like me, always running and getting the numbers, getting the trips, and it was always a go, go, go crazy world. But I now saw her, and she was so aligned. She was so grounded. Her face even changed. She went from having these angular features to soft features. She went from having these furrows in her brow to like a smooth forehead. And I said, Angela, what have you done? And she said, well, Elvira, in the past year, I've become a life coach. And I'm like, what the hell's a life coach? And she said, well, you help people grow from where they are to where they want to be and blah, blah, blah. And I said, you can get paid for that? Like, I could not believe that was actually a job. And so I essentially said, put it out in the universe. I said, I don't know what Angela did, but one day I'm doing it too. So according to my mentor, A.G. Morishita, shout out to him, he's amazing. He says, when we have a desire, when we decide something is ours, we punch a hole in the universe. And then the universe comes to fill that hole with the how. How does it get done? So I put it out there, more chills. I put it out there. How, like I just said I wanted to be a life coach like her. I wanted to be happy and grounded like her. I wanted to, like I was a crazy drug rep. I didn't like that life, but I was making six figures. Hard to leave that life. So I just put it out there. So what happens the next week? Then I got a very, 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 very impressive prediction that night. I was told by a woman that I was to be a healer on a very high level globally. And she mentioned someone's name, and I'm not going to mention it now because it might kind of, take us into another area, and I don't want to go there right now. But I was told that I was meant to be a leader of healing at a very high level globally. And I walked away from her and said she was crazy. I started to cry. And why did I start to cry? Because my head said, how the hell would that ever happen? You're just a drug rep. And then my heart, my soul said, that is what you're meant to do. Listen to that woman. And there was a disconnect. And that's why I started to cry, because my soul knew that I was here for more. So what happens is I go into work the next week. My boss who hired me at the highest salary, biggest car, biggest bonus. I was poached from another company and I was all that in a bag of chips at this company. He's mysteriously gone. He was my mentor. He was the one that made life easy for me at this company. He's gone and I don't know why he's gone. Well, had I been a smart lady, I would have realized on Friday night that my friend left the industry to become a coach. And I could do it too. So I'm going to leave with Scott as well. So I could have had that kind of solidarity with him. Instead, no. My ego kicked in and said, oh, maybe this is a sign you're meant to be the manager now. So my ego took over and basically said, yeah, you are. And I competed with a dear colleague. He used to be my work spouse. I competed for his job, our boss's job. And there was a misunderstanding. And instead of fixing this misunderstanding, this gentleman took me down. I became a persona non grata at this company. Nobody talked to me anymore. I was walking into meetings and people are talking behind my back and everyone's giggling and laughing. I was a laughing stock. It was humiliating. And what happened is that I started becoming what we call a crap magnet. So I'm vibrating at a very low level, which we call crap magnet zone. You're going to learn about that in a few minutes. And not only was I being bullied at work, I attracted another bully socially. So remember, I used to be a cheerleader? The mean girl on this team, the queen bee, the one that tells everybody who to like, who not to like, that kind of woman, right? I attracted her as a bully. I used to be her friend, but she saw the kick me sign on my back because I was bullyable. And she started kicking me too. So I'm now being bullied over here and I'm being bullied over here. Two different areas of my life. I was a victim. I was in such a low vibration. The bully took friends away from me. Obviously, they weren't my friends. The people that stayed around, they were my friends. But I got to see a really ugly underbelly of the mean girl syndrome that I experienced at work, and I experienced it socially as well. And then I hit that point where I told you about it earlier. I had so much depression, anxiety, and panic disorder. I literally got out of bed to feed my child and get him off to school. He kept me alive during those 2 years. And I reached the point where I couldn't do it anymore. And I asked for my way out, or for a way of killing myself. And I got it. And it's now a movement. And what I realized at rock bottom, when I realized, okay, I don't want to live. Give me a way out. I don't know what that looks like. I realized that if you're being bullied in two different areas of your life, who's the common denominator? So that's when I realized it was me. My vibration brought on the bullies because I was in a low crap magnet zone. My vibration could now undo it as well. And yes, that's absolutely what happened. Not only did I start taking my power back and becoming unbullyable, unfuckwithable, if I may say, I literally was the person that was meant to experience that, because not only did I live inauthentically and show people it's never too late to cross over and become aligned, authentic, and fully self-expressed, but also I learned some serious skills, business skills. I basically have an MBA from working in big pharma, and now I run this beautiful organization. So I had to go through that. I had to learn. I had to go through that experience. So again, at rock bottom, I realized that I didn't want to live, realized that I started getting downloaded with the Love Your Vibe teachings and tools, and realized that I was the person that was going to do it. So I started doing it. And what happened is I left the pharma industry on a leave of absence. And during that leave of absence, my company restructured. I never had to go back to that job. I got a package that took care of me and my family, thank you, Jennifer, for almost a full year. Because the universe, here's what the universe says. When you have the courage to step forward and do what you're meant to do, I've got you. And the universe had me with this beautiful package. And so I was able to become a coach and start my new life and share this system. And I created an online program, and that's what Eleanor and Jennifer did. And they said, this is a great program. We want to share it with the world, because it's one thing to do it online, but then it's another thing to actually live it and breathe it in community where you're safe and seen and celebrated and supported. And Eleanor and Jennifer provide the most beautiful space for people to take on these teachings and tools and to truly come alive in a whole new way. Virtually every person that's gone through the program wants to become a facilitator of it too. And they're helping these people to become leaders of this. So honestly, I do virtually nothing. I do the business end of it. These amazing women, they take care of the facilitation skills and all the pieces that are making this an amazing opportunity for other light workers who I like to call, or who want to become light workerpreneurs. They need to make money so they don't have to work a day job, because if they're light workers and they have a story, message, and magic to give others hope, inspiration, and tools, or as I like to say, hits, they are here to help humanity as well. And I want them to use this as an extra stream of income so they could help as well. And it's not just, you don't have to do one thing. You can do all the things, right? Because I'm an artist, I'm a healer, I'm a coach, I'm a speaker, international speaker actually. And it found me, these are the miracles that happen. And so this is what's possible for all of us. We can have a miracle mindset. We can become miracle magnets. Why was I chosen? Because I was the biggest crap magnet on the planet. And if it worked for me, it can work for anybody. And I'm here to say that whatever is in you needs to come out of you. And if you have a story of darkness and you want to live in the light, allow this system to help you, and then you can use it to help others. And you can also share your own story and teachings that can help others too. So I think I'm going to stop it there, and we're just going to get started with the presentation. I hope that you've taken away one little pearl from that story that you can apply to your own life. But now we're going to give you some of the teachings and tools, not all of them, some of the teachings and tools, because they do have a 6-month program available if you want to learn more, and we can tell you more about that later. Just reach out. Or I think somebody can maybe put the I'm not sure what's going to go into the chat, but you can have access to us at the end if you want to learn more about it. So now, Eleanor and Jennifer, are we going to all get on screen so we can talk about the teachings and tools? Yay. And as you can see, I just realized how big my balloons are. I just turned 60, ladies and gentlemen. I became a professional jazz singer at 51, and I just turned 60. And I'm here to say it's never too late to live the life of your dreams. So there you go. One final word before we get started with the teaching part. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm going to hand it over to Eleanor, who is going to get us started, and then Jennifer is going to chime in. And I've told you most of my story, so I don't really have to go into too much more detail. But ladies, take it away.
Well, thank you so much, Elvira. Your story is so inspiring. I can relate to elements of that and how our culture likes to squish us into a box. And there's this paradox that it's trying to protect us, but it ultimately holds us back. So the teachings and tools that you have shared really resonated with me. A lot of them are ones that I had gathered along the years, but had learned the hard way, one at a time and by myself. But you had channeled some beautiful signature tools that helped to tie up everything with a bow. And I really knew that I could speak to the Love Your Vibe transformation with integrity. My background is as a registered massage therapist and a holistic energy practitioner. I am an environmentalist. I've run for the Green Party, learning confidence over the years to step up and speak my truth. So your vision of a world where everybody is aligned, authentic, and fully self-expressed really resonated. And I'm really looking forward to sharing some of the teachings and tools with people today. We have a playbook. I did share in the chat a Facebook group. So you can log in there for the Facebook group, the Miracle Magnet Zone, and for the Miracle Mindset Invitation Playbook. That being said, I will be sharing it as a PDF. If you have a journal handy, we'll be asking some powerful questions for your reflection. It's self-directed, but Jennifer and I will be sharing part of our stories, and Elvira, how we answered those questions and reflecting how the teachings and tools helped us shift our perspective. We're here about mindset. The way that we look at things, if you change, what was it, Wayne Dyer, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And it's been such a powerful shift. And mindset isn't the only tool to healing. I'm so honored to be here in this forum where there are international global healers that have threads of the truth and really powerful stories and teachings and tools for everybody. So grateful to be in such great company. So Jennifer, would you like to explain your story with us? Share your story, please.
It would be an honor and a pleasure. Can I just say thank you, Elaine, for this opportunity. This is the first time I've spoken in front of a group of this many people. And to say that there's a little bit of nerves would be a lie, but let me tell you, if you had told me 4 years ago that I would do this, I would have laughed in your face. The inner work is I believe that the only way to get through life, having these tools to carry with you. A bit of my story, I was raped at the age of 15, my virginity taken, and it set a course of a lot of self-loathing, shame, guilt, worthlessness. I turned to alcohol to cope. I drank profusely for the majority of my life. And it set me on a path where I did not value myself. I became a hairdresser. I've been a hairstylist for 33 years, getting to a point where the fulfillment wasn't there. I knew deep down I was meant to be a teacher. I'd known that as a child. When you go back in life and you can reflect and what were the things that brought you joy. I played teacher. That was what I would do. And what kind of supported me was that I was able to provide guidance for my clients. I was told by a psychic once that I have this direct connection, this channel from myself to my higher power. And I didn't believe that I was not possible, but I would share information. I would share guidance to my clients. So there was that connection. So it fed a part of me. Lack of boundaries, lack of value, self-value, worthlessness. All of those pieces really created, for me, I was in crap magnet zone the majority of my life. Practicing these tools daily, inviting new mentors into my life, learning their skills, learning from their stories. That really is where the power is, when we see ourselves in another human and you realize you're not in this alone. That is what has transformed my life. I was able to witness Elvira go through her crap magnet from her inauthentic life. I'm getting shivers right now, to where she is today. And I've signed on, I'm there. I'm with you. I want this for the world. I want the planet to realize their beauty, their inner value. This is not about seeking outside validation. This is about working the tools within to heal within, so that as you move into your life, you affect those around you. So it is an honor and a privilege to be here today and to share the program and a few of the teachings and tools that have literally changed my life. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jennifer. So I will pull up the PDF here. So getting right into the Miracle Mindset Invitation. So our first tool is the vibrational scale from crap magnet to miracle magnet. And this is a really powerful concept for me when I recognize when I'm in a lower vibration that it just tends to be a dirty cycle, that I start to fall into this pit. Like I can actually feel it like a vortex of anxiety and shame. There's guilt down there. There's blame. There's at my very lowest suicidal ideation as well. And I tend to then play the victim. I become a bully, and it's just not a pretty picture for anybody. Whereas the more that I practice the inner work with these teachings and tools, like this is more like a reference document, but the more that I consciously nurture and cultivate inner love, joy, peace, gratitude, it helps to build confidence. And there's a sense of flow and creativity in the world in Miracle Magnet Zone on the right here. So this is static. It depends day to day, but it's just a tool to tune in to see, well, where am I today? Anything you want to add to the tool itself, Jennifer?
You know what? It's awareness. Like I was in the resentment, shame, guilt, like on that crap magnet zone for so long, and I wasn't aware of it. I used to call myself quick draw McGraw. You know, it was happening to me. It was happening to me. And as soon as I realized that I was the common denominator, to bring the awareness to how am I would wake up every morning with absolute dread of my day, having to go to work and be around clients. I literally at the end of my workday would crawl up the stairs. I couldn't even walk. I was so drained. Now learning that I'm an empath, and I was taking on all of that. So what was mine? What was theirs? Bringing awareness. And how did I feel when the miracles would happen? Because they would happen. This happens for everybody, but we're not aware of where where our soul is vibrating. Are we doing the things that light us up? Do more of the things that light us up. There's going to be the sad days and the anger. These are all beautiful emotions that were meant to direct us. You know, anger is there to show us there's been a boundary crossed. How do we communicate that? So this for me is, oh, hold on, what's my vibration? Is there something I need to honor and witness in myself? And then I get to choose, what can I do right now to support myself so that even if I'm just in that middle zone, that's okay too. At least I'm not down in that 1-2 zone, which is where I spent the majority of my life. If that makes sense. So it's, for me, it's a meter, it's a gauge that I use daily to choose the better for myself, to choose what I need to support myself for that day.
Absolutely. That's beautiful, Jennifer. Thank you so much for sharing. And I can also resonate with that story. And as an empath and learning to be aware of, like, where's that discernment of what's their energy that's being projected, and am I people pleasing? Am I taking on their vibe? And where am I in my aligned authentic self? Pardon me. And when do you feel like a crap magnet? So I remember a time when I was in a relationship. We'd been living together, but we'd moved in together very quickly. But there was a lot of passion, but I didn't recognize the red flags for what they were. And in hindsight, recognizing that there was codependency, that I was trying to fix him, but I would also project and blame him when things weren't going right. And it was just really crappy. And I would do my best to communicate but then, and I mean, recognizing I had learned nonviolent communication since, and there are more productive ways to speak and communicate and express your perspective. But I also recognized I had a friend who had some mental health training, and she says, it sounds like he's gaslighting you. And that was just a technique, a psychological manipulation technique. Part of my vision of the world is that everybody can recognize the psychological manipulation of gaslighting. When if you ask a direct question and you try to bring attention to something, that this is when this person will do anything but answer the question. They'll turn it back on you, make you feel like you're
Crazy,
at fault, that you're crazy, that you're making it up, that it didn't happen that way, that it's somebody else's fault. Quite common in politics, but it plays out behind closed doors. It plays out in businesses. And the ultimate endpoint is that you feel confused. It's like, well, I was just trying to bring up this disagreement about the chores that are getting done or not getting done. And now I'm in tears. So it was just really felt very crappy. And at my worst, I was a compulsive cannabis smoker. I had some guidelines around it, like going into work, but it was definitely a go-to tool to numb out and to cope with that. But I was also a binge drinker and just didn't know where that line was. And I would just feel like crap and swear that I was never going to drink again. And then the next weekend there I was. So I think that's a pretty common dynamic these days. So that's when I felt like a crap magnet. Jennifer, would you like to add to that, and then Elvira?
Elvira, I'd like for Elvira to chime in if she could share. Yeah.
I'm loving listening to you guys. This is just like, oh, I just feel like such a mama bear, and you guys are just
I love that.
So for sure, I lived most of my life in crap magnet zone because that's what happens when you live inauthentically. You are a target, and I got bullied because I lived out of alignment. And when I see kids being bullied, and like one of the members of our team, Akoshua Brown, shout out to her. She's a book publisher. She said, Elvira, we've got to bring this to kids. We've got to get this into the schools, so that kids realize that they might actually be walking around inadvertently with a kick me sign on their back, right? If they're showing up in ways that they're just trying to be liked by the cool people and, doing things they don't want to do that are putting them in a low vibration, they got a kick me sign on their back. They're bullyable, right? But then there's the kids that go, no, you know what? I love to do this. I like these people. This is where I'm going to be. They're up in miracle magnet zone and they don't get bullied. They have bully Teflon, right? So we want to teach these tools to kids as well, right? Because can you imagine a world full of kids that are being raised with some powerful tools for mindset so that they don't have to go to the numb out things like we've gone to? My numb out things were rage. My numb out things were eating. My numb out things were, what did I do? Oh my gosh. Mostly rage, taking it out on my husband, making him wrong for everything. I'm sure I gaslit my husband all the time. That's what happened when I lived out of alignment. I was down there because I was just coping. I wasn't actually living my truth. I had moments of miracle magnet zone, but most of it was in crap magnet zone. And I'm blessed to say, well, I'm going to tell you, our marriage nearly ended 3 different times because I lived so out of alignment. I used to need outer validation like I needed oxygen. I needed people to fill my cup because I didn't know how to fill my own cup. I did not have self-love back then. And so I vibrated at a very low level. And our marriage nearly ended 3 times. Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, we just hit 33 years in June. Today, it's heaven on earth because I've done my inner work. He's been inspired to do his own inner work. And there is a God because my husband has done his own inner work. I never thought that would happen, but he did. And because each of us have done our inner work, we've come together and it truly is a miracle. We call it our miracle marriage. So I'm just going to drop that there and hand it back to you, Eleanor. Or Jennifer.
Thank you, Elvira. Yeah. Yes.
My miracle magnet, let me tell you, I hit rock bottom several times. Probably the biggest one was when my dear friend left our relationship. And without a word, I was just blocked on everything. And I realized something had begun to shift there. I started standing up for myself. I started creating kind of mini boundaries, which we're going to talk about in a bit. But when I realized that I was the common denominator and I got to choose how I showed up, and I didn't have to be the people pleaser. I didn't have to fawn. I didn't have to, my go-to is freeze. It's like everybody else knows better than me. Because if I do it, I'm going to fuck it up. Who else can relate to that, right? I'm the one who's bad and wrong. So when this event happened, I realized like I asked for the universe, like, how do I step out of this? How do I start to claim? How do I start to honor myself? And all of a sudden this happened. She left my life and I literally felt like a helium balloon and she let go of the string. And all of a sudden, I think it was within a year, I kept saying, I don't know how I need to switch from doing hair. I need to create this space to see what else is here for me. Because I'd never spent any time. What does Jennifer really, really desire? I know I wanted to teach, but how is this going to happen? And then COVID happened. Like for me, as painful and horrible as the first month was, because I was in such fear. The stories I told myself, I'm going to lose the house, we're going to be bankrupt. I went through, as I'm sure most of us did. But I stopped at one point and I realized the universe has my back. This has happened for me. And the empowerment I felt, all of a sudden I started breathing. That's when Eleanor and I got together and we said, hey, there's this opportunity to create this program. OMG, are you kidding me? And we jumped in with both feet and we supported one another and we grew as our own selves in community. And we've been able to share this. And honestly, where I live most of these days is in my miracle magnet zone, because I get to facilitate this program. I'm learning how to become a trauma aware and somatic awareness and healing for myself firstly. And then I'll be sharing that with other participants. So I get to teach. I'm finally in a place where this is where I'm meant to be here. And if I hadn't punched that hole, I don't know where I'd be. In fact, I don't want to know. I don't want to know where I'd be. My life brought me to this moment to be able to share my joy, my magic, my goddess mama vibe energy to all of you and to whoever else it will serve. And so, yeah, I'm juiced up to be here. I'm excited. Like I said, if this had happened 2 years ago, I would have had a bucket beside me because I would have thought I was going to puke. And I know that if I can touch one heart today, my mission was complete. So that's my vibe, my miracle magnet zone. Eleanor, would you share us where you are now in your miracle magnet zone and how you're living most of these days?
Yes, thank you. I think my internet blipped there. I think we're back now. So grateful. So miracle magnet zone. So 2016. So like I'd met Elvira at this point, but hadn't come into the Elvira V transformation. Like I said, some of these teachings and tools I was aware of, and I think I was already on the path of doing the inner work. But when I was in this relationship, like I came to a point, my I'm better than this moment, which we'll be talking about in a minute, but really recognizing like this relationship isn't working for me. But I was so scared as a single woman, like moving out on my own as a single woman. If you can relate to a fear of the financial stress, like why do you stay in a relationship if you're afraid to be on your own? I think that's a pretty common fear. But once I made the decision, I said, well, I mean, there's God bless, there's single women out there who are working 3 jobs and raising a family and kids. I don't have any kids, that if they can do it, I can do it. I need to make a change. And an intuitive friend of mine, she says, well, why don't you go to university? And I always thought I was not smart enough for university, but it did feel in alignment. And I did apply and I was accepted. And the miracle that came in was that God bless our federal government in Canada here, I did qualify for some tuition grant programs, which was very helpful. Also, I had written a list of things that I wanted to manifest in a new home in the city where the university was, in Hamilton, Ontario, here where I am now. And I kept finding places to live that were more expensive than I wanted to pay with the things that I didn't really want. And I was like, do I settle and find something that take something that doesn't really suit me, and the universe was like, just patience. So I just kept looking and kept looking, and lo and behold, I found where I'm living now, where I had all of the things on my list, and it was less than the budget that I had set for myself. So the universe really had my back. That felt like a miracle. And I'm so grateful every single day. And I've also transitioned my business. I was a massage therapist for nearly 20 years. And as a massage therapist, like I really love the body work and working with people's tissue and releasing stress on a physical level. And that was really rewarding and fulfilling for me. But as I was doing my inner work, I was really drawn to help people emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And then when COVID happened and I was deemed inessential, I was encouraged to surrender my license, which entitles me to people's insurance benefits. So there's a degree of security there. And so I was terrified last year when I made up the decision to surrender my license. But I feel so much more fulfilled every day with my clients now that I'm out of the box of just physical and only physical, because that's what a massage therapist is, restrained by the scope of practice. But we're holistic beings. The way we think about our stress, the way we feel about our stress, the way we operate in the world, all comes and settles in the body. I think I'm preaching to the choir with this audience here, but it's been such a blessing. And I feel that I've stepped up into my miracle magnet zone self. So every client I feel fulfilled, and I'm so grateful to be able to share my gifts with the world. So I invite you to, with these questions in your journal, like, be honest with yourself, because that's a big goal of personal development, is you have to have radical responsibility with yourself. You have to be honest. You have to have courage and really take inventory of where am I holding myself back? Because a lot of this is in the subconscious. This is ultimately shadow work. Elvira refers to us as light workers, but as light workers, we really have to explore the shadow. Yes. And that's our subconscious energy in the mindset, because our culture is toxic. And the colonialism, the structural racism and white supremacy, and we are conditioned to be small. I think the biggest fear in the world is, or at least that I've heard of, is public speaking. To stand up and speak your truth, because so long our intergenerational trauma is shut up and take it. So when you can exactly, and that's going to keep you safe, because historically, if you spoke up, and you would be persecuted for telling your truth. But this is where we have to become honest with ourselves and learn to lean into the discomfort and lean into the fear, because there's that old acronym, false evidence appearing real. But it feels real on a somatic level. So that's why I love that Jennifer is doing this somatic healing, and really recognizing that on a cellular level, that there's mindset, but there's also a deeper healing that goes along. And I love to think that the Love Your Vibe transformation encompasses so many different levels of approach. So let's move on to the next lesson here. Are we complete?
Yeah.
Ladies
Did we
here,
want to
fantastic.
ask anybody any questions?
Oh, any questions? Yes.
Any questions in the chat? Yeah, absolutely.
Can we just take the screen down so we can see everybody?
Yes, please.
Eleanor, that would be great.
If I can find where my screen. There it is.
We are not, Katie, we aren't as techie as you are.
And I love your unicorn horn. By the way, Katie,
so great. Awesome. I love Katie. She's cool.
So if there's any questions, and if we don't, then we'll just move on.
Right on.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Oh, I have Elaine put her hand up.
Sugar raised her hand. Hello.
You're on mute, Elaine.
You're muted, love.
Oh my gosh. So you all are blowing me away, but there has to be something for the heart going away, because the level that you all are sharing at is just unbelievable. This is so beautiful and moving. It is amazing. So I don't have a question. I just want you all to know I am moved beyond belief. What you all are doing right now is beautiful. That's all. I'm going away now.
Thank you so much,
Don't
Elaine.
go away. Don't go away. Thank you, Elaine. We met for a reason, and I am so thrilled to be here today with my incredible colleagues. And God bless you for all of this. You are just a phenomenal woman, and bless everyone that's here. May you all be miracle magnets forever. Now that you know this, you can't unknow it.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah, that's
get
a
to be
beautiful
miracle
thing.
magnets forever too.
Yeah.
Aw.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Elaine. You look
Thank
lovely
you,
today.
Elaine.
Thank you. So, okay, I'll share my screen we do a 5-day miracle mindset invitation. So that's why it says day 1, day 2. Again, the link was in the chat there. But the second lesson is release for inner peace. The I'm better than this and for you, not to you lessons, the teachings there. And we are remiss to say, because we understand that a lot of spiritual practitioners in the Western world can be spiritually bypassing and toxically positive. That it's just love and light and miracles and rainbows and unicorns. And as much as I love being there in the miracle magnet zone, we recognize that those dark feelings, the shame, the anxiety, the depression, the guilt, that those are all very real things. That oppression is real, that we have external forces of racism, sexism, ageism,
All those
ableism,
isms.
that those are very real factors that other people will project. So we're not minimizing that at all, that people are victimized every single day. Where we're coming from is the fact that you can, once you're victimized, it's really easy because a core element of our ego is victim, where then we start to play the victim. And it's actually sucking energy from other people when you're feeling woe is me. And I'm not good enough. So, but another element, there needs to be a choice that I'm better than this. I deserve better. I am going to treat myself better. I am going to learn to shift this. I'm making a decision. And that there, in some cases, like, this is not to say, well, somebody died. Well, this happened for you, not to you. And I mean, and that's really minimalizing, and it is very toxically positive and bypassing. But at the same time, does somebody passing away in our life teach us gratitude for the moment? Do we have gratitude for the connection and the bond that we did have in the time that we knew each other? I lost a job. Is it opening a window somewhere else? Closing a door and opening a window. So there is some spiritual truth into recognizing that the crappiest things that are shit, pardon me, are crap, will make the best fertilizer if we can learn how to use our story as a powerful message and tool to help us transform and evolve. Does that resonate with people? Fantastic. So I did express my IBTT moment. And I recognize in my relationship, like there was a manifestation tool. It's like, write the list of what you said. Like I had in the apartment that I wanted to manifest was, I also did that on that relationship that I had moved in with, and we had lived together for 4 years. But I looked back on my list of what I was looking for, and I was looking for somebody codependency, not recognizing that codependency is a coping mechanism. It's a trauma response. It's different than an interdependent relationship, because we're so conditioned to find your other half, that somebody else to complete you. Whereas now we have to evolve and learn that I am a complete person. I am whole. I am perfectly imperfect. And I need to find somebody else who is also whole and complete. And we can then be interdependent and work together. So I had to go through codependency to really understand what it was about. So now that I can learn, and now I can spot those red flags in a relationship and say thanks, but no thanks. Because I need somebody who is doing that inner work and healing. So it felt bad at the time and crappy, but on the flip side, I can recognize that it was for a good reason, if you're going to put those labels of good and bad on it. And I mentioned where I coped and numbed out in terms of cannabis and alcohol use. So Jennifer, do you want to speak to those questions there?
Oh, let me count the ways. I've had so many I'm better than this moment. So many. What I can say honestly about the victim, I was victimized at 15. My joy, my sacred body, my my body, my womb was attacked. And with it, I gave away all of my empowerment, all of myself, who I saw myself as up to that moment. I did not share. I had so much shame and guilt. It was my fault, even though that it was a planned thing. Alcohol was given to me. I'd never drank before, and I passed out and woke up to this, my best friend's boyfriend on top of me. Trauma, had no clue. I had no tools. I was 15 years old. I didn't tell anybody. I was looked at, you were the slut. It was your fault. So I had no outlet to allow for any kind of healing. So that trauma stayed in my body. And what created for me was this cycle where I would replay it in different situations in my life. And these cycles happen in our lives to come to a place of healing. So the initial event, the initial traumatic event, replays in different ways as we grow up, with an opportunity to heal. But when you don't have the support, when you don't have the knowing, when you don't have the awareness, the support, the tools, you keep re-inflicting. And it's more trauma on top of the trauma. And it becomes suppressed. And I was a suppressor. I would call myself Olivia Ostrich. Head in the sand, like, oh, this is uncomfortable, numb out. I became a heavy drinker, a functioning alcoholic. I mean, I don't like to label the alcoholic because but I realized that was my only way to dissociate. And so I kind of laugh at myself now. I was basically a head floating around. My body, I was completely disconnected from my body. I had no sacredness in my cycles. I would shame myself for, unless I looked a certain way to attract the attention that I believed was, well, this is what my purpose is, was to provide sexual relief for men. That's how I saw myself. So through my life, I would have these moments like that. There has to be something better, but I didn't know what that was because I couldn't connect to my heart and soul. So through my life, I would say that the I'm Better Than This, the first one I had was with my first marriage. And I made a choice that I could stay here and be miserable and show my son that this is what a relationship is. Zero communication. Daddy is upstairs watching TV. Mommy's in the kitchen making dinner, and there's no love. And I thought, no, there has to be something better. This is, I have my beautiful son and this is wonderful. And it took a lot of courage for me to leave that marriage. There was safety there, right? There was a huge codependency, which I was not aware of. But I left. I had the courage to leave, and I was okay. And I actually lived in, even though I kind of vacillated between crap magnet and miracle magnet. I still drank because I still had all the trauma inside me that I hadn't dealt with, but I was shiny and I was attracting clients. I was making more money than I needed. I was able to take trips with my son. I was able to create the life that I was supposed to have, right? The ego saying, well, this is what life looks like, right? And I could do it on my own. And that was really empowering. But because I hadn't healed those deeper wounds, I brought in another relationship. And I want to honor Elvira in witnessing the transformation you made in your marriage, because that's where I'm at. I married another man and we had the most codependent relationship. We moved in with our 4 children. So 3 stepchildren who had been through their own trauma. And here I was, at one point they called me a Nazi. I thought me being a supportive, caring human was controlling their environment, controlling what they could do, when they could do it. That was the last thing they needed. They needed to be witnessed and held and loved for who they were. But I couldn't do that for myself. So how could I do that for anybody else? So this healing became this introduction of that I'm better than this. What do I have to do? What do I have to do? And it became inviting small practices. And I know I've gone off a little bit here because I kind of get into my zone, but I was drinking six nights a week, 1.5 liters of wine, to be able to, and then wake up in the morning feeling all of the guilt and the shame, because I witnessed growing up that women spoke up with liquid courage. You have a couple of drinks and then you're going to tell everybody what they're doing wrong, right? And the fingers are pointing, the fingers wagging. And I didn't realize, well, how am I showing up, right? So they couldn't trust anything I said. Even if what I said was right, I was drunk. How can they trust someone who's drunk? That's not safe. That's not a safe place for any child to be raised. So that was a huge IBTT for me. That was huge. And it gave me the compassion to begin building compassion for myself. And here I am today. I don't know if that, I hope somebody got something out of that. I know it was, but yeah, it's several IBTT moments.
Yeah.
But if you don't have, what am I trying to say? When I finally got it and I said, okay, God, spirit, universe, I'm ready. I need the transformation. Show me the way. Then the door opened up and I started seeing what was available to me. I couldn't before because I was living like this in fear that I was going to be made wrong. And God forbid, my ego's like, you're not wrong, Jennifer. You're absolutely right all the time. Right? My way or the highway. My mother used to say to me, she called herself she who must be obeyed. Ooh. And that's what I grew up with. So I grew up as I'm the mother of the house, she who must be obeyed. So I had completely shut out my emotional, empathic compassion. Yeah. So that's my bit. And I would love to hear, Elvira, if you have anything. Otherwise, we'll take some questions.
Yep. I'll share my bit too. Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, that we got a lot out of that. So thank you so much for sharing from your heart. I'm sure people can relate to that. And the fact that you were raised in a home with a mother that everything was under control, and it was her way or the highway. So of course you grew up like that, right?
And she was a drinker. That's when she expressed herself.
Yeah, that's what you got to see. But you know what's beautiful is that you're taking your power back from your mother, like right now. She's in her 80s. Is she 80s or no 70s? Yeah. And you're taking back your power. And it's what I did too. My mother, she was not the mother I wanted. She was the mother I needed to turn me into who I am today, which is a fierce, sensitive badass. And today my relationship with my mother, she's 83, is amazing because I've set my boundaries with her. We'll talk more about boundaries, but we need to take our power back from our parents and still have great relationships. And so I just want to honor that, Jennifer. And what you shared is just really, really beautiful. And what it comes down to, ladies and gentlemen, is that, IBTT is all about living consciously. There's a lot of people, most of the world is living unconsciously. Okay. Like I think it's like 90, they say the stats are 95% of the world is living unconsciously. 5% of the world is doing this inner work. So it's about living consciously, creating your reality, not living by default, right? So IBTT gives you back your power. I'm better than this. What can I choose to do now so that I can shift this vibration from crap magnet, so I can leave crap magnet zone, get into miracle magnet zone. So it's a powerful concept that was gifted to me divinely. And, it totally transformed every area of my life where I literally have achieved my virtual every dream. The only thing left are things that I have a plan for. My husband and I and an amazing team of people, rock stars from around the world, we're co-creating a series of 11 global retreat centers to serve the top 1% of humanity. That's the only one left. And Eleanor is part of that team. And that's the only thing that's left. But everything else I've achieved. And I am so freaking grateful for this miracle mindset. And I know at rock bottom, it was told to me when I started feeling better, Elvira, it's not just for you. It's for you to share with the world. So it's a way of doing our inner work in this unique way for heart-centered humans that don't like the in-your-face approach of Tony Robbins, landmark education. It's more the gentle rain soaks over 6 months. You learn it in under 3 hours, but you practice it in 6 months and it allows you to transform. Our brain is neuroplastic. So neuroplasticity studies show us that when we start thinking and behaving in a different way, in a small community, especially where you're safe, seen, celebrated, and supported, it's like 8 people and under, like miracles happen in that space where people realize they have the power to take back their life. They're choosing to live consciously. They're choosing to love their vibe. They're choosing to not live in crap magnet zone and to live primarily in miracle magnet zone. Because crap's going to happen, but it's how you choose to handle it that creates your life. And so, yes, for me, many IBTT moments, they happen all the time today. If something crappy happens, I'm better than this. there's an IBTT moment. I'm going to do this about it, right? So I don't want to get into all the stories, but definitely it was divinely gifted because it's a powerful tool for us to take our power back. So the Miracle Magnet Zone is essentially the manifesting zone. When you live up there, you manifest your desires. You attract them to you. I won, awards as a jazz singer, only doing it 9 years professionally, when people that have been doing it their whole lives that deserve the award, in my opinion, I got the award instead. Why? Because I'm a miracle magnet. I was invited to sing at my mayor's 60th birthday party a couple of years ago, right before COVID hit. I was chosen over every other Mississauga musician. My partner and I, we were a brand new band. Why did she choose us over all the other musicians? Because she picked up alignment, because she picked up that here's two people doing it from a space of service. It's not about their egos. It's because this is their thing to do. And that's why we were chosen by the mayor. So this is Miracle Magnet Zone is a manifesting zone. So that's why I want you guys to really get present to how you get to be miracle magnets and manifest all of your desires too. So I'll drop that.